Episode 1. Some young kids live in an orphanage home in a city. Unfortunately, the city is destroyed by a virus that leaves only kids alive. The kids do not understand what's happening, and they stay together to think. They hear a voice from the speaker informing them of the incident and telling them they will now be under the control of Ferret and all his vampire colleagues. As the announcement is made, Ferret breaks into their room and takes custody of them. The vampire abuses these kids, and two of them, Yuichiro and Mika, are great friends. While Yuichiro thinks the vampires are maltreating them, Mika believes they have to use what they have to get what they want. So he sacrifices himself as food for Ferret so his colleagues would get food. One day Yuichiro and Mika speak. Yuichiro sees two vampires coming and two young boys on their way. The vampires step on the boys and walk away without an apology. So Yuichiro goes to confront the vampires, but Mika apologizes to them. Luckily, Ferret interferes, and Ferret likes Mika because of Mika's blood. Ferret asks Mika to come to his lodge that night, and on Mika's way with Yuichiro, he tells Yuichiro that they have to do what they have to do to get what they want. After meeting with Ferret, Mika gets a curry meal for his friends. That evening, as Mika eats with Yuichiro, he tells Yuichiro that he has gotten a map, and they can escape that evening. As they leave, Ferret finds them. He sucks the blood off the other children, and when Mika goes to confront him, he stabs Mika with his hands. Yuichiro escapes based on Mika's advice, and as he runs, he meets some men who tell him he is fulfilling a prophecy that a boy from the orphanage will come, and he will be a tool to destroy the vampires. He collapses on the man and tells him that as long as those vampires will die, he is ready to do anything. Episode 2. Following his hatred for vampires, he joins the Japanese Demon Academy and he wants to be a member of the Moon Demon Company, a company that consists of hunters who kill vampires. He meets Guren, the leader of that company, who sees how excited he is by the idea of killing vampires and hopes he will pass his examinations and join them. Yuichiro is disobedient and rebellious in class, and he makes two friends at school, Shinoa and Yoichi, who have just failed his examination. As they walk together, a female vampire attacks the school. Instead of waiting for the Moon Demon Company head, Guren, Yuichiro goes to attack the demon, who squeezes him and jumps through the classroom window with him. Guren luckily appears and stabs the vampire. Instead of Yuichiro accepting that he has gone against the rule, he insists he would have killed the vampire. He collapses, and when he wakes at the hospital, he is told that he has been admitted as a member of the Moon Demon Company. Episode 3. He meets with Shinoa at the training ground, and she shows him her contracted demon. He duels with her, but her contracted demon, which is in the form of a weapon, is stronger. Yuichiro hopes to get his own demon too. On the other hand, the boys who bullied Yoichi arrive to apologize to him, and Shinoa tells Yuichiro demon has possessed a boy. Yuichiro, Shinoa, and Yoichi go underground, where they see one of the boys, Yuji, with a demonic axe. Yuichiro aspires to make the axe his contracted demon, so he runs to fight despite Shinoa's advice. The demon haunts him with hallucinations about Mika, and he wakes up later. Shinoa and Yoichi are shocked he could recover on his own, and they congratulate him, telling him Guren will determine the kind of weapon he will get. Episode 4. It turns out Mika is alive. He is seen in the vampire village, and he is already a vampire. A flashback shows that he was saved by a female vampire, Cruel, who gave him her blood. At the training center, the three friends are introduced to their class, where they meet their teacher, Sayuri. At the class, Yuichiro meets another student, Shiho, and after the class, Shiro meets with Guren, who reveals that Shiho is only at the school to get a cure for his sister's virus. It's time for the tests, and everyone is to pick a partner. Shiro and Yuichiro pick themselves reluctantly. However, they stop their fight with Shiho, gets a call about his sister at the hospital. Yuichiro stops with him and follows him. Meanwhile, the vampires are also distributed by the works of the Moon Army. Episode 5. Cruel calls all the vampires together and admonishes them and creates a war against humans. Meanwhile, when Guren finds out that Shiho and Yuichiro have failed their examination, he goes to the class and gives them another test. He brings out his sword and turns it into a demon, claiming anyone who survives the demon will be given another opportunity. Shiho, Yuichiro, and Yoichi survive. He takes them to a cursed room and tells them to pick a sword. He asks them to enter the cursed ring, and they must withhold the demon from possessing them, because if they become demons, he will kill them. They all move to take their swords. Episode 6. They all fight their weapons, which appears to them as their loved ones. Yuichiro sees his lost comrades, Shiho sees his sister, and Yoichi sees his sister. While Shiho and Yuichiro fight the demon and survives, Yoichi is unable to leave the cult of leaving his sister, so he gets possessed. As Yuichiro and Shiho return, Guren tells them their first job as an army is to fight a demon which turns out to be Yoichi. They refuse to kill their old friend, and they allow Yoichi to attack them. Before Yoichi shoots the arrow, he regains his memories and hugs Yuichiro. Guren hits Yuichiro and asks him why he acted just now. He tells Yoichi to forget revenge and stop feeling the guilt of leaving his sister. He tells them they are now part of the team. Meanwhile, the vampires are also preparing for their attack. Episode 7. The team of 4, which consists of Yoichi, Shiho, Yuichiro, and Shinoa, are taken to join another member, Mitsuba, who is to act as the leader of the team. And they are commissioned to Harajuku to rescue humans. As they walk, they see a monster fighting a little girl. Yuichiro attempts to save the girl, but Mitsuba refuses. Mitsuba warns him that it is a trap, but he defies the warning and goes to fight and save the young girl. As he goes, about 3 of her vampires arrive. They defeat the vampires and save the girl, but Mitsuba warns him never to do such again. He asks the girl if she has anything to tell them, and she informs them the vampires are holding humans captive at Omotesando Station. They prepare to go there, but Mitsuba warns them that if the vampires are awake, they will retreat. Episode 8. Based on the girl's advice, they enter the station where they see several orphan children. They are confronted with some vampires, and Yuichiro defeats about 2 of them and saves Mitsuba from being killed. They defeat the vampires and release the kids. After the fight, Mitsuba is reluctant to tell Yuichiro thank you. They drive away, but they meet a noble vampire, Crowley, who attempts to fight them despite knowing they are more than him. They realize he is stronger than them, and as they decide to retreat, some vampires come to call Crowley. So Crowley leaves them. They breathe in joy and decide to join their journey to Shibuya to safeguard the city. Episode 9. They continue their journey and they see a commander, Nagai, in distress. They save him and they continue to his helicopter. Meanwhile, Mika and Farid talk, where Mika reminds Farid of how he drank his blood. Farid tells Mika that they aren't allowed to drink human blood, directing, and Mika remembers when his appetite forced him to drink Cruel's blood after becoming a vampire. On the helicopter, they hit a building and collapse, thereby dividing the team into 2. Before then, Shinoa gives the others a pill to boost their power. Meanwhile, Mika is seen in front of the crash scene. Episode 10. Guren is confronted by Mika and Farid, and Yuichiro and Shinoa take the commander to the clinic. As they return, they hear that their comrades are being confronted, so they go to save the remaining members of the crew. On the other hand, Guren is overwhelmed by Mika's attacks. He takes a second pill despite the rule that just a pill should be taken. Before Mika hits Guren with the last attack, Yuichiro arrives. Mika figures it's Yuichiro, but Yuichiro stabs Mika before realizing it's him. Episode 11. As Yuichiro finds out, he stops himself. His colleagues wonder what's wrong, while Farid figures out what's wrong immediately. Crowley and the other 2 vampires arrive, and the fight resumes. Mika begs Yuichiro to follow him and tells him humans are manipulating him. Yuichiro refuses, but he loses control of his powers and starts attacking everyone. This buys time for the army, and later, Shinoa hugs Yuichiro and brings him to his sense. At this point, Guren asks the other army to fire a lion missile at the vampires. Episode 12. Yuichiro gets into a coma almost after the attack, and Shinoa accuses Guren of putting something in the pills that caused Yuichiro to get out of control. He tells her he is doing human experimentation, and Yuichiro will wake up in about 5 days. Shinoa sits with him till he wakes up, and she briefs him about how the vampires left. He is determined to reunite with Mika, while Mika, on the other hand, thinks about his identity as a human and vampire. In the last scene of the first season, Guren writes a letter about their experimentation and gives it to an unknown man. Thanks for watching our video. If you want us to recap the next season, let us know in the comments section.